Hey, this is Seth with In-Demand Career. I show people how to get life-changing jobs in digital marketing with no previous experience or education. And that includes my very special guest today, Justin, who was working in catering and doing other odd jobs while trying to make it as an actor in New York City when he found my course. He wanted to find something with flexibility, but also stability, which interested him in digital marketing. He took the course, hustled very, very hard, learned these new skill sets, and got a remote job as a digital marketer, starting out at $40,000 a year, but he will be soon be making about $60,000 a year or more because he has a commission-based job. He loves what he's doing. It's giving him a lot of flexibility and freedom in his life, and I'm very excited to share his story with you. Thanks for being here, Justin.
Thank you for having me, Seth.
My pleasure. So why don't you tell people a little bit about the current job that you have right now?
Yeah, so right now I'm working as a Google Ads specialist. I'm working with a company that focuses on doing Google Ads for therapist offices. And right now they have me pretty much working on a lot of setup for a Google Ads or Google search campaigns, and then also a little bit of Performance Max campaigns. Right now I'm mostly in the setup process, but they have like a lot of clients being shifted to me, and then I'm also nurturing my own clients, and pretty much I'm acting as like kind of a consultant because I'm running those campaigns.
It's fantastic. And do you like the work?
Yeah, I love the work. Pretty much like from the course, I got a lot of practice from setting up campaigns. So I think the setup part is fun. It's part of like, it's pretty much creative and also analytical as well. I love the research aspect. I love writing copy and stuff. So for me, it feels like I'm getting paid to pretty much play around on a computer all day.
That's awesome, man. I'm glad you're enjoying what you're doing. Um, yeah, and we mentioned the salary. It said you starting out about 40. You're probably going to be making 60 very soon. How does that work?
Yeah, so they give me a base salary and then I get a commission based off of the amount of clients that I have. So right now I have about like I think I have like 5 clients at the moment, but they're piling clients on. I'm only a month in and I have 5 so far. Eventually they want me to work my way up to 20.
Yeah, and I'm sure you'll get there. I mean, that's perfect to go again from having really no clients or only one or two practice clients to five is already huge growth. And remember, guys, I always like to stress this. This is just your first job in digital marketing. Some people make 45K, some people make 60K. It doesn't matter because that's not the end goal. He's going to be generating experience. He's going to be able to leverage into a higher paying salary in the next year or so. So that's really fantastic. So of course, everybody wants to know, like, how did you go from where you were when you found the course to this job? Like, what was going on in your life when you first found the course?
Yeah, favorite question. Yeah, there was a lot of going on in my life. My life was pretty much a crap storm. I was I was working as a events assistant at a spa. I later got laid off from that job, so I was kind of in like a crisis. I was also an actor, so I was like doing some stuff from there, and then just like booking some work. But again, that wasn't like super consistent and stable. I was kind of getting older and like getting tired of that. So I wanted to find something with like a little bit more consistency. I didn't quite know what that was yet. I thought about digital marketing, but it was such a broad term, and everything I looked up was really confusing. And then ultimately, I did catering. I thought that would work out for a bit, but then that wasn't what I thought it was, and I just had to work way too hard. And I ultimately found Google Ads through Shane Hummus. Shane Hummus directed me to you. I did a ton of research because I thought it was a scam. And then I talked to so many people from the course, and then I was like, okay, I'm gonna do it because I have no other choice. And I'd rather bet on myself and like take a chance on this, and if it doesn't work out, I'll figure something else out. But I don't know. I just had this feeling in my gut that it was worth a shot, and I'm glad I did. It honestly has given me a lot more peace of mind. So yeah.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, I totally understand. I have a background in the film industry and I was doing PA work for a while and I
Yeah.
couldn't stand. I think when you're 18 or 20 or 21, it's fine. If you get over
Hmm.
24 or 5 years old, you want something a
Yeah.
little stable. So that's great. I'm glad this can provide that for you. Why don't you get a little more in depth, in detail about what happened? So you did your research. I totally understand you and anyone else being skeptical these days. There are many courses making unrealistic promises or just not even having real people with the testimonials. So you talked to a bunch of my students, you realized it was legitimate. And then once you started, like, how did things go?
Yeah. Well, first, I liked what you did at kind of the beginning. It's kind of like a pep talk when you're like, a lot of this stuff is new and it's going to be confusing. Just go through the course one time. Don't even really like think about it too much. Just absorb the information and then go back. I'm glad I did that. Like, of course, like I wanted to be in a different position now, but I knew I wanted to be able to survive in that industry and be able to like understand and comprehend. So I went through once just hearing all the information, and then I went back through again, just actually trying to apply things and like, stopping and starting videos to make sure that I actually grasp the concepts. Um, but yeah, that was pretty much like what I went through, and I did all like I did all of the assignments. I even like reached out to you guys for help if I like just ran into like a lot of trouble. There was a lot of stuff in that course that was really hard at first, just the first time around. But I'm glad I stuck through it. Like the website was giving me issues. I had never built a WordPress site before. I had never really put together like a Google Ads campaign. The SEO I thought was going to be a nightmare, but when I actually got into the weeds of like doing the assignments and stuff, it was actually a lot of fun. Just on paper, it looks like it's going to be like really treacherous, but I mean, I had a blast doing the assignments, to be honest.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, look, I never thought 9 years ago or 15 years ago I'd be teaching this or enjoying it. I mean, when I heard about digital marketing, I never thought Google Ads or SEO would be that interesting, but
Hmm.
it is. And that's why you see so many people in these interviews who are actually passionate about it. And it's also intimidating, of course, in the beginning. You had the right attitude. That's why I tell people, like, again, if you come in, obviously everybody who comes into the course wants to change their life for the better. You want to get a new skill set. You want a new job. Like you want it now.
Yeah.
Like if you could
Yeah.
wave a magic wand, you get it now. But the reality is you have to be able to provide value, and you can't provide the value until you learn a lot. And so you had the right attitude of taking your time. And that's perfect the way you said it. I think that helps other people because other people are probably feeling a bit overwhelmed, having problems.
Hmm.
You need to go through that, guys. You
Yeah.
understand it's so fast compared to the 16 years you spend in school and college. And just think of how inefficient that process is. And then, in this process, it's like a few months. So be patient and expect to have challenges. Every challenge is an opportunity to learn. You had a problem with WordPress, something isn't working, you're frustrated, you screw something up. That's how you learn. It's not just like, you buy the course and then you get the job. You go through this learning process, and then I'm sure that everything you learn from real experience not only helps you grow, but you can share about that in a job interview. And yeah, so let's get into that. So you went through the process, you built the website. What happened, in terms of generating experience and, running ads or whatever you did? How did that then transition into the application process?
Yeah. So I didn't go out and get any other extra clients or anything like that. I really just kind of focused on like the generating your own experience, like based off of like me building my own campaigns. So I studied that a lot, and then I just did like a whole bunch of research and just made sure that I really understood what I was doing. And then I was able to formulate that in a resume based off of like I use like some of what you did in your template, but then I also kind of just like added my own stuff to it. Just going back and forth between the template and then like the videos like that Sophie was doing, and that also kind of helped me structure a template. Some people from the course were very nice in offering me their resumes, so I took bits and pieces from like all different sources and kind of made it my own. So that was able to help me like with the application process, and then the cover letter portion, which I wrote a cover letter for every job, which was really annoying, and I didn't want to do it. But I also knew that I didn't want to stay like where I was before. Like I saw people who are a lot older than me, like still catering, and I knew I did not want to do that. So I kind of used that as motivation on days where I just did not want to apply to jobs or write, a really long cover letter um, about jobs and finding like all of like the intricate details about like what made them different or like what made me want to work for that job. But I think it was well worth it. It just again proved to me that I could do a whole lot of things that I didn't think that I could do. And even just going back to talking about like the course, like throughout the course, there was a lot of times that I just did not think I was smart enough to do this. I didn't think that it was for me. I thought I was way in over my head. But each time I like accomplished something, it gave me more confidence to keep going through that process. And ultimately, I'm glad that I stuck it out and I realized that like I just had a community behind me, like with Seth and all of the instructors and the people who had gone through the course, the people who are still in the course, like everybody was like kind of championing me on. So that kind of gave me like a lot of courage to keep going.
That's so great, man. I don't have much to add because you really put it well. And the community is so great. It's not just me, it's other alumni, coaches, people want you to win. And they want to support you when you might be struggling or feeling a challenge. So I'm glad you did do a cover letter for every application, guys. AI is great and you can use it to like, generate a kind of a cover letter. You got to customize it though. You got to put that time into it as well. Like it's important and you're proof of the results that you're getting. Like you need to put the time and care into it. And it's good that you were creative with your resume. I mean, I still tell people like, I don't know if you emailed it to me, just use the template. It's so simple. Nobody, I see people come up with these fancy resumes. I'm like, dude, I'm telling you as someone who has been hiring, when you're looking at 500 resumes, you don't want anything fancy. Your eyes are hurting. You
Yeah.
want something
Yeah.
simple, and it's never the font or anything fancy. It's the skills. That's what's getting you the interview. So what was it like when you started applying? Were you getting responses? Were you not getting responses? Obviously, you eventually did get responses, but how was that process for you?
I hated that process. That process was so annoying. Again, because like I wanted it to happen now. I wanted to be out of my situation now. But again, I just kept watching all the videos of like the success stories. I kept like going back to videos of yours in the course. Um, and everybody's journey was different. Some people got it right out of the gate, other people's it took them months. And then I also had to remember the current economic status that we were in. Like the job market is just like not great right now. And I was running into like a lot of like walls. Like I got a lot of just like people ghosting me. I got a lot of like rejection emails, and it was just like, oh, great, another rejection. Wonderful way to wake up in the morning. But again, I knew I wanted to get out of my current situation, so I just tried to figure out how to make it fun. I did find a lot of jobs that I did like and was hoping that I would get. I was not shy at all, reaching out to every single talent acquisition person. Literally, like I had them and listed them to follow up, and then if that one didn't work, I went to another one on the company website. Every time I literally message every single one until like I got a no or like a yes. And sometimes a lot of times I got yeses. And other times like people just like ghosted me, but I was just like, I just looked at it as like, okay, well, they weren't for me. So let me just find like the one that is right for me. And that kind of made me stand out. That's really how I got my current role because I emailed the CEO, which I was like a little hesitant to do, but I felt like because it was like a smaller company, I was like fine to do that. And plus, like the application process, I had a co-working buddy who was also looking for a job at the same time, so we would work together, and that just kind of made it fun. But if you don't have that, you can also just co-work with somebody who already has a job, and that's also fun too.
That's some good insight. I mean, yeah, you're being really honest. I appreciate that. I want to point something out, guys. The economy is so funny how nobody can really comprehend what our American economy is or global economy. It's $1 trillion thing. There's thousands of jobs. and all you need is one job. So
Yeah.
I've had people, I've had people even when the economy was booming who didn't, some people would get a job and other people wouldn't get a job. Or I'm sorry, everybody for the most part that has ever contacted me and has kept at it like you are gets at least to the interview process. And once you're in the interview process, I mean, we give you as much guidance as you can, but it's usually a cultural fit thing. What I'm saying is that people will draw conclusions that may or may not be accurate. So someone would even say to me that, oh, it's the economy, that's why I can't get hired, even when the economy is like objectively good, because they're not really just understanding that the companies are always hiring. So I would suggest you guys, whatever's happening in the stock market, whatever's happening in the economy and so forth, so on and so forth, don't even look at that. There are still companies hiring. Clearly you're in the interview because you got hired. So that's the proof right there. You just want to stay focused on that. And it might be maybe it takes you, more applications to get that interview or something like that. But I think, I've had students who, I really think your attitude has a huge part in it, and you had a real determination, which probably had something to do with being an actor. You have to have that determination, and you get rejected a lot.
Yeah,
And
it does.
honestly, yeah, job interview application is like being an actor. You're auditioning, or trying to get an
Yeah,
audition. The interview is the
yeah,
audition. Um,
yeah,
and I like how you say it's annoying. And like yeah, it could be annoying. I mean, you switched how you looked at it because that's just the impatient part of you
yeah,
talking about that. Because obviously it's going to take a minute. You're trying to find a fit. And when these companies hire you, most people don't realize like how much they invest in you. They have to fill out all this paperwork. They have to pay half your taxes. They're really investing in you. So that's why I'm really focused, guys, on understanding to provide value and to do this inner work along with generating your experience. Because when you show up, they can tell that you're a quality prospect. They want to invest in you, just like they invested in Justin. So this, and you did everything right. You weren't shy. You emailed people, and it's true. People will ghost you. It's normal. Don't take it personally. Keep going. Push. Get the no. Move on. Great attitude. I was curious though, like once you did get interviews, like how did the interviews go? Like, did you have some interviews before this job, or was this your first interview? Like, what was that like?
So I had another interview before this job. That one, so I would say like the interviews in general, they went really well. I felt like I was prepared for them. There were only a few curveballs like within the interview process. I will say I ultimately decided not to go with the first one just because I got a really good sense of like what the company might be like. I also looked at Glassdoor and I used what people were saying from Glassdoor and used them as questions in my interview, and Glassdoor proved me right. So that's why I ultimately decided not to go with them. But generally in the interview process, the I think they were about like 2 to 3 rounds. The first round just being like general questions that they ask on any job, and then they might throw in a few like technical questions, but not that much. It's just basically to see if like you kind of know like the basics, which was like pretty standard on both interviews. And then the second round was more of like the hard hitting technical questions, and they were both more so like they were asking about have you worked with clients, and then like what was your process talking to clients. Specifically this job that I have now, they really wanted to know how I engaged and worked with clients because that was the main part of this job, really being like more of like a face-to-face person, like a consultant or a consultant in that aspect. The other job was more so like on the back end, like I think what more of a traditional agency looks like, where you're not like necessarily client facing. um but yeah, and then it was just like a cultural fit too, with that last round interview, just seeing how like just making sure you're not a crappy person. And I think if you can get along with people, then that part you have in the bag.
Right. So let me ask you a couple questions based on that. Number one, so you didn't have real client experience, right? I mean, you told me you just generated your own website. So how did it
Yeah,
go in the interview when they asking you about dealing with clients and you didn't have a client? And this is the job you ended up getting, right? So
yeah.
how did that go?
I I watched a lot of your interview prep. So I spoke as though I was my own client. And then I really stuck to that. I took elements from my own experience generating it with myself and then applied it as though I was working with different clients. It was all one client, but I took different aspects of that one campaign and applied it as though it were like multiple clients. I really said it was maybe like two or three to not go crazy, and oversell myself. I kept it at like a manageable number. But I mean, you said something that was like really inspiring to me. Is like, even if you don't go out to get your own clients, you are your own client and you've done the work, and they just want to see like what you're talking about and the process and the strategy behind stuff. So I knew all of that. I just didn't have a list of clients to pull from. But they didn't know that. They didn't need to know that. All they knew was that I knew what I was talking about.
Right. Absolutely, man. I tell you, my first agency job, I had spent money on ads for my website. I had built an email list. I had sold a product. I had done SEO. And that's what I tell you guys in the course. I mean, it's like, it's the same thing. I mean, what's the difference if you had a friend or someone you did the same thing. They have a small business. Maybe they're a personal trainer or something, and they built a little website and they get some clients. It's the same thing. That's why I wanted to empower you guys to understand that. Which is why I encourage you to, if you're gonna, build a blog or something or a website, make it it's not a personal, it's not like Justin's website. It's like a informational website. It could be a little e-commerce site or something like that. It's the same process. Yeah, the word client can be a bit daunting when you're just starting out. And then other people do, you could have a family member, a friend, someone in your community and work for them, or you can work on your own site. I'm really happy you took that coaching on. And as you said, what they're looking for is your competency and yeah, that you know what you're talking about. And then I was just going to go back to that first. So you got another job offer from that first place on Glass that you checked out on Glassdoor, or it was one of your
Um,
interviews?
Yeah, so I didn't get the job offer from that because I was still technically in the interview process. The company that I'm currently working for now, they just happened to offer me the job first. So I never really got any red flags from that job, and they were consistent, like with what they were telling me the entire way through. And I could just tell that they were very just passionate about what they do, and just like genuinely good people. I did not get the same feel from the first job. And so they technically had three rounds. I only went to the second round. They did offer me a third round, but I ultimately decided not to take it because I had already had a job offer at that point. And it was just something in my gut telling me that this would have been a huge mistake to even like play with that.
Mm,
So even though this one was offering me less money up front, I knew ultimately it would be right for my own sanity. And then also the fact that I had the potential to make more anyway. At that one, it just wouldn't be at the time that I wanted it to be. But I was okay with that at that point.
yeah. And guys, yeah, that's great. I mean, it's good intuition you had, and you can tell in a job, you can often, yeah, Glassdoor is a very good resource. You want to make sure it's a good place to work. You're going to get support, that they're not just churning and burning clients, like things like that. What can you share a little bit with, was it just a feeling or were there answers to the questions or the Glassdoor
No,
stuff?
yeah,
Uh,
no, it was answers to the questions. Pretty much I asked everybody what their work-life balance was. And I was very appreciative that the first round for that job, they were very honest. They were like, look, I'm going to be very blunt with you. That first year is going to be rough because they're throwing a whole lot at you. It's a whole lot of information. And they started to ask me questions of like, had I ever been asked to do something out of my job description before? If like I was okay, like, oh, they would say like, oh, there's some days that you might like have to work later, but it's okay, we'll pay you time and a half. And I was like, so it was just like certain answers that they were saying were just kind of giving me like red flags. And I think also the higher up I got in the interview process, the colder they got. And it just didn't feel like a conversation. It just more so felt like these are questions that they have to ask me, and it didn't feel like they wanted me to succeed. It was like, how much can we trip you up?
Ah,
And oh, like you passed? Oh, I think you are kind of okay. Great. But the job that I had before, I didn't feel that way. I felt like they genuinely wanted to, well, one, know me as a person, but then obviously know that I could do the job. And I just felt very supported. I felt very welcomed by them. And it was two totally different energies that I was
yeah, yeah.
getting.
That's great, man. I mean, it's great you're in a position where you can make that kind of choice. You're not like under the pressure where you have to take that other job. And it varies from personality to personality. Some people might be like super hungry and they might be like, oh, time and a half extra work. That would be really, really awesome. And, sometimes if you work at one of these agencies where it's more stressful, that could mean you get more accounts. Or you could burn yourself out. So
Yeah. Yeah.
it sounds like you made the right choice for you, and this place sounds really, really good. So what was it like when you actually got the job offer and accepted it? How did you feel?
I felt I felt a mix of emotions. Like I was happy that the job search process was over, but I was also nervous because I was like, dang, I really have to do everything I said I could do in that interview. So it was nerve-wracking, just because again, like it was everything that I had worked up towards happening in one moment. And again, I just didn't want to disappoint. I didn't want to disappoint them. I didn't want to disappoint myself. So I had a lot of imposter syndrome. I had imposter syndrome ever since I stepped into that course, and all the way through. I still have imposter syndrome right now. And sometimes I'm like, I don't even know how I got this job. But I say that, but then I also do know because I just do know this stuff because of the course, and because of all the research I've done. But yeah, just walking in, it feels great because now I feel like I can breathe. I feel like I'm not working a lot harder than I need to. I lucked out that it's fully remote. I didn't even really want to work fully remote. I was okay with working hybrid, but then this job just kind of like, I don't want to say fell into my lap, but it presented itself to me, and it was everything that I really wanted and more. I was working in the mental health space, which I really loved and wanted to contribute to. I was working with small businesses. It was fully remote, so I mean, I'm still working as an actor, so it allowed me time to do that. I had a ton more free time because this agency was more so like, we don't care how much time you spend on it as long as you get the work done and it's done, and done in a reasonable amount of time. So I really lucked up with them, and they're really supportive. Every time like I have an issue, they're like, please let's hop on a call. We can hop on a call right now if you want. It'll be like what, maybe like a 10-15 minute call. They don't mind going over. They're like, we have so much time in our schedule, please like just like pick a spot on our calendar. Like no one has ever made me feel bad about anything. Even like they're steadily adding clients to my list, but they're like, if at any point it feels overwhelming, we can take a pause, and so you can kind of catch up, take a breather. I feel like they are babying me so much on this job in all of the best ways, and it is the best thing possible. And I feel like too, like I just have more time to live my life. I can go out with friends more. I can see what this city has to offer a lot more. I don't feel like stressed out. If anything, I'm like, I have all this free time to just do whatever.
That's so great, man. I think you said it perfectly. Yeah, that feeling of, yeah, the pressure being alleviated and having some flexibility, that's awesome. I know in my circles or the people I've met at business conferences, I know eight-figure earners who the heck wouldn't want to make eight figures a year, but they're so stressed
Yeah.
out. That's an
Yeah.
extreme example. Picking a work-life balance. And I mean, and again, you're in a position where you're going to be able to earn a lot over time. And it's like
Mhm.
funny for them. It's good on them because it's commission based. So it's like, okay, right. They can afford to pay you a little less in the beginning while you get your footing. And then as you grow into the role, you make more money and everybody wins. And then by the
Right.
time you're
Yeah.
carrying 20 clients, you're making, more money and you still have the flexibility. And, I think as you have more clients, you'll have a little bit more of a challenge, but it sounds like you're in a very supportive, great situation.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Um, so yeah, man, I think you said everything really well. So clearly being an actor, you know how to present. So and that's a good soft skill to have, guys, in the interviews too. It's why in the interview part of the course, I think I suggest some courses or just getting used to talking to people face to face is also a really good skill set to have. Um, and I'm happy that you have these, you can still audition and live your life and be paid well. So awesome, man. And I want to thank you for taking some time to share your story with everybody. I was wondering, can people watching the interview reach out to you on LinkedIn if they have any questions?
Oh yeah, no, of course. Yeah, that's how I would want to pay it forward because I know I'm fully transparent about anything. I'm not a gatekeeper, so please ask me anything.
Awesome, man. I'll put his link below the video. Yeah, man, it's great connecting with you. Before we wrap up, just is there anything you want to say to me or anybody watching the interview?
Yeah, I will look in the camera. This is not a scam. I was not paid to do this. I'm an actor, but I'm not a paid actor to be here. Truly, if you just want to get out of like your current situation, just take the risk and do the course. I know for me at the time, like it was not something that I could completely afford, but I did bet on myself and I was like, I am going to make this work some way, somehow. Just go through the course. You are smart enough to do this. You can do this. Like even though it is hard, go at your own pace. There's no need to finish it by a certain time. Look at other people as inspiration and not as competition or like where you have to be at a certain point. Everybody offers like something different. Everybody has their own secret sauce. What you can do is different from what I can do, and vice versa. Um, Write a cover letter. Wow, I don't know what that accent was. Write a cover letter for everything. It's gonna suck, but trust me, like you can do it. Find an accountability buddy that you can get through this process with. Um, and yeah, if you need any help or hints or tips or anything, encouragement, whatever, just reach out to me and I'm willing to help. I feel like I said a lot, but I feel like I have a lot more to say, but otherwise we'll be here for hours. But yeah.
Well, I appreciate it, Justin, you know.
Yeah.
And I look forward to seeing where you go with all this. And yeah, we appreciate your sharing, making yourself available. If you do message my students, guys, I would just say, remember, be patient because they are working. But it's very generous of you to offer your advice and feedback and everything. And yeah, man, it's great to connect with you. I'm very happy for you. And we'll talk again.
Yeah, for
So
sure.
yeah. So yeah, man, thanks for thanks for hanging out for a little bit and sharing your story, and we will talk again in the future.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you, Seth.